When recording the unboxing section of this video, it got messed up and the audio didn't record. I have no idea why. Because of that, I just decided to cut together a couple of clips of the unboxing and then we go straight into the setup portion. The setup portion is completely fine. Audio is perfectly good and I do talk through it. Yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that that happened. So I haven't actually decided what to set this board up with. I just know that I'm gonna use ducky tape. So I'm gonna put some stickers on here. Okay. So I know for sure I'm gonna put some FBC stickers on here. So I also asked you guys if you had any particular questions about ducky tape or about duck decks in general, but they were all kind of the same. How thick is the tape? Yeah, around 1 millimeter, I would say. Is ducky tape sticky? If you mean sticky like on the board, yes, it is sticky. If you mean like grippy, a lot grippier than you would think, actually. I also originally thought it wasn't gonna be as grippy as regular foam tape, but turns out, like, honestly, I feel like it's more grippy than foam tape. Okay, so this is the sticker job. Kind of made it look like the mustache was like on the holes there. So what you want to do generally when you're, applying ducky tape, my advice would be to apply it over your bolts because I don't think it looks very nice if you're trying to do it like poke the holes through. So I guess one disadvantage to using ducky tape is you do have to like intend to use that setup as it is for a certain period of time. All right, let's see. I feel like I want to try and make this board as light as possible. One of the things that I noticed about writing ducky tape is that it makes your board feel almost a little heavier than normal. Yeah, we'll try and prevent that as much as possible. Probably want to switch to some Zainship bushings here. Trying to find some extra softs. Yeah, I think the blue will look really nice on here. And these are amazing. I mean, they are what they say they are. They're just really, really soft. Also, the reason why I'm switching to Zainship instead of using those South Softs is because I want a lower setup. So with Y trucks, the hanger already sits slightly higher than like Dynamics or BRTs. So if you add the South Soft height onto that, that becomes like really high. Make sure your bolts are sitting flush and flat with the board so that you don't get any bumps. And I'm just like repeating basically what Savannah talks about in her video, but you're gonna want to peel the edge and hold onto the edge. Anything or any fingerprints you get onto the back, it's gonna show through. Come on. Making sure the grip right now is like there's no air bubbles because that's gonna bother me. I think we did a pretty good job here. Just to give yourself the illusion, because I do this myself, I think it's a placebo effect, but I go over the edge and for some reason in my head what this does is it files down the grip in the same way you can file down skate grip. I don't want it to cut through because you're gonna want to use an actual razor blade. And I'm using a very crusty and old razor blade, but you don't want to do that. You want to use a fresh razor. If you've never used a razor, please don't try and do this. Maybe get like a parent to do it for you. I know you might want to like look cool and do it yourself, but seriously, like don't cut yourself. I've never had a clean grip job with ducky tape. I think it's just because I don't have enough practice with it yet. You're gonna wanna be as patient as you can with ducky tape. Don't try to rush this process unless you're very experienced with it. So you can just clean up if you want. But yeah, that's my ducky tape grip job. Should we use some Luxarios? I don't like how the yellow looks on this, actually. I'm gonna switch the wheels again. All right, so it's 2 days later and I ended up setting up the board with Dirty FB Ill Pills minis. I just thought the color scheme looked a little better like this. I have pretty much just been using this board to sesh when I've been fingerboarding because I wanted to get used to everything that is going on this board because there's a lot of things to get used to. And just from 2 days of seshing it, I've been able to notice a couple of things. Not good or bad, they're just like observations. So before I received the pack, I actually prepped myself and I set up an old Beastpants board with ducky tape. The reason being that one thing I've noticed about ducky tape for myself is it makes my board feel heavier. So because of that, I ended up choosing to use ducky tape on a lighter deck because this deck is quite thin. The first duck decks I set up was this Crystal Ducky board. This was actually a 34mm, this is a 32. And let me tell you, the 2mm difference really does actually make a difference, especially with these boards because the material is heavier than wood. With this board, I wasn't really able to ride it. The deck was quite heavy and like quite wide, but I just knew that if the board was thinner, I would be able to ride it way easier. So that's why I got this 32. A couple of things about the shape that I'm not used to is two things. First of all, the shape in itself is very high. This is the shape I'm used to riding, so that's quite flat in comparison. And here we have high kicks and relatively defined dips. And another thing I've realized about myself is that if I'm riding higher shaped boards, I find them heavier. Here I have a play shaped board that Casey from FBC gifted me. I found the board quite heavy. It is a 34, but I tested my theory with some other higher shaped boards in 32mm. So the higher kicks is one thing. The second thing is that this popsicle shape is actually a very square popsicle. And I'm used to riding very round or like zero shape. You can see here. Yeah, very round. Let's compare that to the duck decks. You can see it's really square. The nose and tail are wider than what I'm normally used to. From what I remember of this board, this deck feels way lighter. I set it up with wide trucks this time, and last time I set it up with dynamics, which was honestly a huge mistake because this board was ridiculously heavy. But yeah, so far I really do enjoy the deck. You guys had more questions that I didn't get to answer in that earlier portion of the video. The general question is just how ducky tape rides in comparison to foam tape. But one of the biggest differences is for sure that it is, for some reason, a lot grippier. When you first ride ducky tape, I definitely think you should give it a proper go. And don't just like use it for a couple of sessions. Use it for a little bit longer because it is a lot to get used to. Bearing in mind that the board will end up feeling heavier, I figured out my own like best case scenario for riding ducky tape, and that is with a thinner and a lighter deck. My first time riding ducky tape properly was on a Fizzy deck, and Fizzy makes her boards a little thicker than most. And I don't know if you can see the difference next to the Beastpants, but the Beastpants is much thinner. And Fizzy boards are already heavier than other decks that I ride. And so adding ducky tape to this just made it too heavy for me. But on this, it was honestly perfect. Like the weight in comparison to the Fizzy, like it's kind of similar, like they're pretty much the same. And I also have Y trucks on both of these, so I am able to compare the weight a lot fairer. Another thing is, I think with ducky tape, you have to learn how to do your tricks in a whole different way. And I think the only way you're ever gonna like fully get used to ducky tape is if you go all in with it. I know a couple of riders who now only ride ducky tape, but at the moment I'm still used to foam tape, and I can't just like put ducky tape on anything. So that's just my overall thoughts on ducky tape. I think it's really nice tape. I just don't think I can fully commit and only use ducky tape forever. But I think it's really good to have maybe like half of ducky tape and half of foam tape. That's what I did with my original fizzy deck, and I think I'll probably end up doing it again with another setup. So the other thing is, I also wanted to properly show you guys the pack of tape that Savannah sent me, because I just didn't really go through it in the unboxing. She sent me some of the clear pink tape. I did actually have a couple sheets of the opaque pink. I used one and I gave another to a friend. She also sent me some purple and some green, which is really cool. I'll definitely use those for like other grip gaps or something like that. If you're thinking of using ducky tape, I would say that, so like I said, I found a good way to use ducky tape. I really like it actually on this setup, and I'll probably keep it on this setup. But if you're skeptical on whether or not ducky tape is for you, I would definitely try it out alongside foam tape. So put a section of ducky tape or fill in your grip gaps with ducky tape as well, because it works really, really well with foam tape. Some good tapes that work with it are FBC Black Velvet, and Sponsor Me Tape also does a 1mm version tape. But yeah, you could use it with any tape really. It works better than using skate grip, because like skate grip isn't really that grippy for fingerboarding. It's actually really cool to me that we now have 3 different options for grip tape, 2 of which are actually really, really grippy for fingerboarding. That's Duck Decks and foam tape, of course. But yeah, at some point, what I want to do with this setup is I want to switch out the tape for foam tape, and that's part of the reason why I bought this deck. With this, because it's like completely clear and see-through, it just didn't feel right to use foam tape because it's just like black and you can't, like, you wouldn't be able to see the graphic really. Did try to put a sheet over and it just looked so weird. But with this, because you can't see through it, I figured using foam tape on it wouldn't feel too weird and wouldn't look too weird. And when I do, I'll definitely let you guys know what I think of it. Personally, I definitely don't think ducky tape is the most ideal for me with this setup. I didn't film any tricks on this board because since I'm not used to the deck, the tricks I land are really ugly right now. But yeah, I still hope this video was enjoyable. Sorry about the mishap with the unboxing. But yeah, definitely go get yourself some ducky tape. If you haven't tried it already, you definitely need to give it a go at the very least. Here is the Duck Decks Instagram. Savannah's been in the scene for a very long time, so she definitely knows what she's doing. She also makes videos on YouTube, so you should go and check them out. She did a whole tutorial on how to put on ducky tape, so you can go and check that out if you want. Thank you so much, Savannah, for making an exception for me and making this custom, because I actually wasn't able to make it to the stock because I was on set that day, so thank you very much for understanding. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.